Previously on F1 Driver Career. I knew we were going to be terrible. I didn't think we were going to be this terrible.
If I don't avoid that, he's just going straight for my car.
He is defying the laws of physics by making those hard tyres work.
Get in there, Lewis.
Welcome back, guys, to episode 4 of season 2 of this Alfa Romeo Driver Career. We're here for round 4 in Austria, and we're just having a look at our upcoming R&D upgrades. You can see a big package coming. Two of them coming just before the British Grand Prix and one afterwards, and we're going to jump straight into the race weekend. And a good amount of resource points from practice, as always. Kimi Raikkonen seems to be one of the best teammates for this kind of stuff. But when you're playing other modes like my team, your younger drivers, less experienced drivers, don't seem to pick up as many, especially when you simulate half the practice sessions. Anyway, we're going to jump straight into qualifying. And as we get into the garage, we seem to have picked up some sort of fault.
We've got a situation at the moment. Seems like something's off with the fuel injection system. We're looking into it, but we're going to be out of action for a few minutes.
So luckily it's only half our qualifying session, but still annoying nonetheless, and we're going to zoom straight through the repair time of the fuel system as everyone else goes out to set their lap. So we're going to have quite a clear track ahead of us. And just a reminder, stick around to the end for the common competition. It's back for its second iteration. All the scores are going to get reset and we go again. But let's get into this qualifying lap. And we do have a worn ICE, which I decided to run for this weekend, purely because I don't think it's going to be too bad when we get into the race. But as we come through for our first lap, that puts us all the way up into P6, which really surprised me when I first crossed the line, and we remain in P6 after all the laps are done. And we cut to our second lap now, and we're not improving just off the line, but we start to improve further down into the lap. We'll start to see that we start improving. But as we come across the line now, as Valtteri Bottas sets the pole time, we come across the line in P8, which is not bad. So let's get straight into the race.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory of course back in 1984. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, and Stroll, Ocon, the rookie, Gasly, and Charles Leclerc, Albon, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen, and Kvyat, Russell, Latifi, Kevin Magnussen, and Carlos Sainz. Giovinazzi and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So let's get ready to capitalise on this P8. Hopefully we can get some good points today as we go for 5 red lights ahead of us, and it's lights out, and away we go. And we get a much better start than Ocon, and we're gaining on Lance Stroll as well as we head towards turn 1. And we have to back off a little bit because Racing Point's in the way, and we make contact with not Carlos Sainz, sorry, there's in a Ferrari, Leclerc, but Leclerc is out of the session. So did our contact make a bit too much of an impact? I didn't think we hit him too bad. I think it was just a scrape, as we're going to get a replay of the start here. And I thought I just tapped in into turn 1 as we backed off from Stroll. As you can see, we get tapped by Stroll here. We back off a little bit coming to turn 1. Oh, and Leclerc goes into us, and I think his front right tyre came off. Would have brought out the safety car. Sorry, here is his onboard. As you can see, we're just in front of him when we make light contact with Stroll, so we're going to have to back off. And he just turns into us, and then our back tyre catches his right-hand tyre.
Come on! What did he do?
So I'm not 100% sure what Charles Leclerc was doing now. You can see the onboard from Alex there, and then as we cut to a slow motion shot on the back of Esteban Ocon, and he turns into us before the corner. I'm not sure if it was me braking early, but I don't think that's my fault necessarily. But I wasn't expecting that much damage from the Ferrari as we now cut to lap 2 as the safety car picks up Valtteri Bottas. And we're under investigation for the FIA for that turn 1 incident. Let me know if you think that was my fault or Leclerc's fault. Hopefully it's not my fault, but I was not expecting that kind of reaction. I knew I made contact with him, but I didn't think he was going to lose his front right tyre. Anyway, we're going to get ready to go racing again as the safety car is now coming in, getting away from Valtteri Bottas as he backs up the field. And now we're going to get ready to actually do some racing after only having one corner, as we're still P8 after all that, just behind Lance Stroll, who I guess caused the chain reaction of that whole Turn 1 incident, as we get ready to resume racing as Valtteri Bottas floors it out of the last corner, and we're going to try and catch up to the back of this racing point to see if we've got the pace, although the racing point is much faster than us in a straight line, as we close up to the back of Lance Stroll coming into Turn 1, and this is our first official lap of racing after being behind the safety car for the last few laps. And we're going to have a look at Stroll into Turn 3, not really Turn 3, but that's what it's called, as we dive late on the brakes and go straight down the inside, and we nearly go down the inside of Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, but we hold on to P7, and Lance Stroll drops back to the field, and we're not going to have DRS for a while now because the safety car came off as we come on to lap 5, and I think Lance Stroll is dropping back a little bit over the last few laps, and Pierre Gasly is also catching up, but Lance Stroll now has the slipstream and the DRS, the ERS, and probably Rich Mix too, but we defend into Turn 3 and we manage to hold on to P7, and the Alpines are having a nice scrap up ahead as we cut to the end of lap 5 onto lap 6 now, and the Alpines are getting a lot closer to each other than I thought it was, as we get cleared of any wrongdoing from the FIA in that Turn 1 incident. So that's pretty good. Obviously that's just graphics I made, I hope you like that. The game actually clears you of wrongdoing as soon as the incident's over because it's instant. But we cut on to lap 7 now, and the Alpines are getting really close together now as Ocon is all over the back of Ricciardo, and we're going to see if we can take advantage of their infighting, because it slows down every time you have a fight, as Esteban Ocon goes to the left-hand side of Daniel Ricciardo into Turn 3. Can Daniel Ricciardo hold on? He keeps his car on the inside line, and they go side by side up towards the run down towards Turn 4, and Ricciardo's a bit twitchy, as we're going to take advantage of the squabbling, and we're going to go down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo in the Alpine, and we managed to get our presence noticed. And now we're going side by side with the Alpine. This is exciting stuff as Ocon starts to get away. And we go side by side into this corner. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, but the Alpine just has a little bit more traction and a bit more pace, that we're going to try and squeeze him out here into Turn 7. But the Alpine of Daniel Ricciardo just gets ahead. But I think P7 is going to be quite a comfortable position for us, as I don't think we have enough pace to catch the Alpine. But talking of not enough pace, Pierre Gasly is now all over the back of us, and he has DRS, and now he's going to look for a move on the pit straight, and he puts his nose in, and we're going to have to try and outbrake him into Turn 1, and we go side by side, but he backs out a little bit, and we're back into P7. But now we're fighting with the AlphaTauri, who's been in great form this season, scored every point. He's outperforming his teammate massively, and we go up to Turn 3 and see if he dives it down the inside, but to no avail, and we hold on to P7. Yet this game definitely has coding where if a driver does well quite a lot, it seems to make the driver better. It's like morale, and I guess it's quite realistic. But yeah, so we fend off Gasly for now, and we try and stick with the Alpine, but I think as we cut later on, we decide to undercut both Alpines instead to see if we can gain any advantage, because I don't think we've got enough pace to get them on track, and undercuts are usually very, very useful at short circuits like this in Austria, as we dive into the pit lane. And I think we're the only one pitting on lap 9, which was strange, because usually when we do the undercut, we usually are joined by a whole flurry of cars and we get held up, but this time we're alone in the pit lane, and it's a good stop from our pit crew as we come back out, and we're going to try and set a very fast out lap to try and undercut Daniel Ricciardo and Ocon in the Alpine. So yes, as we cut on to our end of our out lap now, as Esteban Ocon is now coming into the pit lane, which means Daniel Ricciardo is staying out for another lap, and hopefully we can get close to the Alpine here as we cut back to our lap, coming onto the end of lap 9 onto lap 10, as Esteban Ocon is now exiting the pits, and you can see if we've jumped him or not, and Ocon has seemed to have jumped us, but we're not too far behind as we come just into shot there, and we don't have a DRS unfortunately, but I think we're not going to be able to catch Ocon, but hopefully with Daniel Ricciardo on those more worse tyres, because he's been on the softs for longer than we have and we're on fresh mediums, we can try and get him as we cut to the midway through lap 10, and in the top right hand corner you can see Daniel Ricciardo is now pulling into the pits, and this is looking a bit more promising for us compared to what we were against Esteban Ocon, as Kimi goes into pits. Kimi hasn't been anywhere in this race. I've seemed to find a lot more pace than him, which is different to the last races we were battling him. And he even finished ahead of us in France. But here we go as we come into turn 1, and I think we've jumped Ricciardo by at least a couple of seconds, maybe just 1 second. And he's on hard tyres. Again, AI being stupid, and he's now going to be involved in a battle with Pierre Gasly for the rest of the race, and we're going to try and see if we can close up to Ocon. But I don't think we have enough pace. Like I've said that many times already, but this Alfa Romeo just isn't the top of the midfield. It's very much towards the bottom, but we're still hanging on in P5, mind you, because I think Lewis Hamilton, as you can see in the background, is being held up as Pierre Gasly storms past Daniel Ricciardo. But Daniel Ricciardo is fighting back as Pierre Gasly locks up, and now they're going side by side, and the action seems to be more with the AI than us, as we're kind of in a no man's land now. But Pierre Gasly holds on to P6, which is improving on his season. He's in great form. As now we're going to scroll through the laps, through lap 15, 16, and I think 17 as well, as Ocon slowly closes up to the racing point of Sergio Perez. So I think there's going to be a little action towards the end there, as Valtteri Bottas has a comfortable lead. But as I was saying, we wouldn't be P5, but I think Hamilton got held up somewhere in the pit stops, and that's compromising his championship lead. As we cut to Esteban Ocon on racing point for 3rd place, and he storms straight past him. And does Sergio Perez have an answer? No, he doesn't, and he slots back into P4. So the Alpine seems to be really fast this weekend, especially with that Renault engine. But yeah, I think that's as much action as we're going to get from this race as we cut to midway through lap 18. And Valtteri Bottas wins the Grand Prix.
Well done, Valtteri. How about that? Thank you, guys. To whom it may concern, fuck you.
Valtteri, no, this is a rebound. Congrats, Toto.
Man, I don't know what to say, man. I'm so happy for you. That is just fantastic.
Woo! Yes! Ah, thank you. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde.
Super Esteban, bravo. Bravo, 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 super. Merci.
Merci Cyril, merci beaucoup.
And that's a great podium for Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. Alpine seem to be the leaders of the midfield right now, but as we cross the line, coming home in P5, which is a superb result for us, and we've got to be happy with that, as that's secured us a lot of points for the team, as Esteban Ocon rightly gets driver of the day. Sorry about the Renault suits, I can't find a good team overhaul mod which sorts out the suits. That's why the McLarens have the Gulf stuff. But Valtteri Bottas wins, and that is going to be looking good for his 2nd championship, as he won it last season. And Mercedes seem to be on a roll, and no one has an answer for them, as Max Verstappen is 4 seconds behind him, but we finished in P5. Lewis Hamilton's down in P8, which is very surprising. Our teammates down in 15th behind the Ferraris, and the McLarens failed to score. Oh, sorry, Lando Norris scores 1 point. So I think we're going to edge ahead. Oh my god, I can't speak today. Edge ahead of them in the Constructors' Championships, and that's got to be good for our drivers. And we're going to have a look right now as the Constructors comes up. Alpine move up into 3rd, AlphaTauri and Racing Point move down, and we move up to 7th. And the Drivers' Championships, we're in the top 10 now, ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari, as Valtteri Bottas takes a commanding lead in the Drivers' Championship, and Esteban Ocon also moves up with us into 8th. But now, let's get into the comments competition for today's episode, and we're going to find that really weird curtain graphics. Let's sped it up this time so we don't have to dawdle around. But the comment competition for today, and I believe the challenge is, what would Crofty say about the Turn 1 incident? You can go for funny. Crofty is the commentator if you don't know, but you can go for a Crofty quote. And Cubsy will be judging this one, as he's the winner from last round. So I have no say in this, and you'll be hearing from him next episode. But anyway, an okay episode on our part. The action was more with the AI today, but we're going to try and upgrade our car as much as possible and try and get us into the top of the midfield. And we're focusing heavily on chassis and aerodynamics, as I've said before, many episodes before. But yep, so a couple of chassis parts coming after Britain, and Britain is the next race, so I'll see you for episode 5. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.